Hello everyone and welcome to Games HUD's top 50 games of the 7th generation. It's the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 and Nintendo Wii. In this instalment we'll be looking at games 50 to 41, so without further ado, here's number 50.
Number 50, The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess.
So released practically simultaneously on Wii and GameCube. And it's still, I think, for being pretty early in the Wii's development, was a really good looking game. Mm-hmm. I think that was the one thing that really drew me to Twilight Princess over, say, getting it on the GameCube, was the fact that, you know, you could have your component and make it look slightly nicer on your TV, but it really is a good looking game.
Yeah. First sort of time that the Wii remote seemed to be used for something clever outside of Wii Sports.
Yes. Yeah.
So actually being able to control the sword. I mean, it wasn't like Skyward Sword controlling, but it was swipe forwards, Link swipes forwards, swipe sideways, and at the time it was mind-blowingly innovative.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah. I mean, but talking of Skyward Sword, I mean, controversially, this is in our list and Skyward Sword isn't.
Yeah. Well, Skyward Sword just like 3 areas, 3 times, and it just didn't have the imagination, sound like Twilight Princess had, which was mammoth.
Yeah.
Amazing environments.
It was a classic Zelda, or a classic 3D Zelda, having lots of areas to explore. Just a really good game. Really, really good game.
Number 49, DMC, Devil May Cry.
So this is definitely like 100% my favourite of the entire Devil May Cry series, including like all of the originals as well. It's just one of those games that just was a non-stop fun fest from like start to finish.
Yeah, I just love it, absolutely. The story is just brilliant, and it just is a real refresh for the series. I think the controls are absolutely spot on as well.
I mean, I must admit, I was one of those people that was worried when they said, oh, we're going to be sort of reimagining Devil May Cry, just because I pretty much was one of those purists like, no, you can't do it. But what they actually did was bring it right up to speed, give it a completely new look, and it is the best in the series. It's arguably one of my favourite games of 2013 as well.
Yeah, me too.
It's just so good. So good. Whenever I see videos of it, all I want to do is just start playing it again.
Number 48, Dishonored.
Okay, Dishonored was one of my favourite games of the year, mainly because of the sheer amount of different ways you could go about doing each mission. Whereas some games you just go through and you've got a linear path. Dishonored let you go through like via the rooftops, via the sewers. There are multiple ways to complete anything within a mission.
It had fantastic art style. The power-ups were a particular highlight for me. As you'll see in some of the gameplay here, you can do like vortexes and teleporting and
bringing in rats.
Summoning rats was definitely an amazing highlight of this game. I could do it as many times as I wanted. I never got tired of doing that.
There's definitely something about that whole steampunky vibe that really captured me. I think it, like you were saying about the art style, but just generally everything just looked slightly out of place, but also just so right.
Yeah.
Just everything about it was just that really nice blend of old and new, and it just never got boring to look at.
No. And as Tom said, there's so many ways through each mission. It was never boring. I mean, I know I did a few playthroughs really, just doing each ending.
Number 47, Dead Space 2.
Dead Space 2 was a fantastic game because, unlike many games of the generation, like Resident Evil 5, it managed to perfectly combine the genres of horror and action.
Yeah, pretty seamlessly as well, I thought. There was never a point in the game where you thought that you were just sort of wandering around aiming for something to do. There was always something to be doing. There was always a goal. There was always a reason to be somewhere and doing something. And it was just scary as hell.
Absolutely terrifying.
I mean, this opening bit here, just being stuck in a straitjacket and running with no weapons and I just don't think I can think of anything more terrifying than being trapped in space, not able to move, running from these horrific atrocities.
The very nature of the combat in Dead Space, the series, is itself terrifying, because whereas most games you shoot someone in the head and that's it, they're dead. In this one, headshot means nothing. Like, you have to take off nearly every limb in order to stop it from attacking you. and just the way they keep coming at you and the sheer scale and scope of the enemies is horrible.
Yeah, it was a really unique take on the whole idea of actually trying to have to dismember something. Yeah, it made it a lot more panicky in combat. But the thing I like about Dead Space 2 is I liked the sort of scope it had when there were some levels where you would sort of be in these giant cavernous rooms, and the 0G in Dead Space 2 as well was a particular favourite level. I think it was just a really, really solid game all round.
Number 46, Grand Theft Auto 4.
So I think GTA 4 was the first time that I was wowed by one of the sort of cityscapes in a GTA game. Like they're all big and they're all incredible when you get to play them the first time round, but GTA 4 there was definitely just something about the detail and just the level of the detail in the city. It really was just, well, it blew my head off.
I mean, exactly. I mean, it came out in 2008, and obviously since then we've had LA Noire, Red Dead, and now obviously GTA 5. So at the time in 2008, it was simply incredible. It was one of the first midnight launches I went to, and that kind of tells you everything about how much I love GTA 4. The story itself was fantastic. I think taking Nico Bellic, kind of an Eastern European, straight into the land of the free was a really great masterstroke in the writing of the story. The missions were varied and there was enough to keep you going for a very long time. I mean, I went for a good 80 hours on this at least. There's amazing secrets as well. I mean, one of my favourites was the creepy heart beating in the Statue of Liberty. That was a really good little feature.
I loved all the little side things in this. I mean, like I never really spent, in fact I'm not even particularly aware if there were many sort of side missions and little mini games that you could play in the other GTA games before 4, but I just remember spending a copious amount of time in the bowling alley and trying to kill all the pigeons just because I could. And earlier we saw the helicopter part, but as soon as I got access to a helicopter, the first thing I did was try and fly under all the bridges.
Yeah.
It gave you a really good chance to actually see the whole map, like from the air and from the sky, and it's just an incredibly detailed game.
Number 45, LA Noire.
Daddy, the police are here.
I really liked the way that Rockstar, instead of going for the full-on open world like they had with all their previous titles, I really liked the fact that LA Noire had a episode feel to it. There were distinctive moments where the game would stop and it would pick up again, and it just had this really concise sort of feel to it. It really focused you on, well, it focused me anyway, completely on the story.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I just love the time period that it's set in, and the fact that you have to gather evidence together and then interrogate people, and you've got this thing between if they're telling the truth or lying, or whether you doubt that. And if they are lying, then you better have some evidence to back that up. Otherwise, they're not gonna like that at all. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nice to see Rockstar doing something a bit more experimental with a game. As great as all their titles are, usually it follows a similar formula. And it was nice to see Rockstar do something that was a bit more edgy, a bit more risky.
Definitely. Absolutely.
It had a real classy feel to it, though. I mean, the whole, like you were saying earlier about the time period, that whole time period does have a very classy feel to it. But the game itself actually feels like a classy game when you're driving around in the streets in the cars and you're walking around in the suit. It's got that real classy
You get a
vibe
real
to it.
feel for that era, don't you? It's
Absolutely.
wicked.
Number 44, Rock Band 2.
I have great memories of Rock Band 2, mainly because I'd have me and two friends in a room, locked in for about 4 hours straight, play through every single song on the set list, and it's a testament that it never gets boring when doing so. It is just, as are all music games, a couple of buttons on a plastic controller, and you play along with songs that you either love or occasionally hate, but no matter what you're playing, it is constantly fun.
I think that was the main factor of any of these games, and especially with Rock Band 2, when you actually had the band vibe to it. It was just that immense amount of fun. There's just, I don't think I'd know anyone that could play Rock Band or Rock Band 2 and say that's a bad game. It's not, and it's just one of those games that people continuously will go back to, and I'm sure on the the next generation, there'll be their version of Rock Band without a doubt.
I would love there to be a resurgence of music games, because after Activision sort of destroyed the genre by releasing a Guitar Hero every year or two a year, it's been a bit of a breather. It would be nice to return to it now. And Rock Band being the most sort of, I say, accurate version of music games, it's it'd be great to see that make a return.
Number 43, Fable 2.
Fable 2 was one of the games of generation that I spent most time on, alongside other games like Fallout 3 and stuff. It just sucked me in, really, really funny, loads to do, great DLC. Can't say a lot wrong about it really, really nice quirky visuals.
Yeah, it's such a magical experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that quirky British humour. I just love the set design, everything like that. Like,
I think the word magical was like the key bit in that bit. It is a really magical experience. I'm not really big on the whole orcs and goblins and dungeons and all that kind of thing, but there was just something about Fable 2 when I put it in that immediately just compelled me to play it for a vast number of hours. And the one thing that I always come back to with Fable 2, I know we've said about the design, but it is actually the look of the characters. Borderline looks childish, like a little, like a childish
a bit
novel.
cartoony.
Yeah, but the content is unbelievably adult, and I just really, really liked that kind of feel to it. It looked like a kid's game, but played out like an adult's game.
Absolutely, and there's not really a lot out there that's similar. I mean, obviously it shares its roots with RPGs, but the way that the menus are set out, the way that the gameplay is, the way that you collect weapons, amass your wealth, it's just a really unique experience.
Number 42, Mirror's Edge.
Easily one of the best looking games of the generation. It just looks fantastic wherever you are in the game. Also kind of just dumbs down how to become a parkour artist, really. Parkour! Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those games that just kind of resonated with me from start to finish. It wasn't entirely long, but that really didn't matter when you're just running about the world, finding your way through. It was almost like a puzzle game, pretty much like Portal as you go through. And
it was really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But just a stunningly beautiful experience.
Yeah, it really, really was. I mean, the stark contrast between the reds and the oranges with just the white backdrop of all the buildings just really made it, one of those unique experiences.
The one thing that you can see, even just when you're running without any kind of weaponry in your hands, is the fact that you constantly see your arms coming into shot. It felt really natural, and then I remember looking down the first time I played it and kind of going, oh, your legs. I can't tell you many games that do that.
No, it sounds strange, but it kind of like kicked off a few games. I know that Brink tried to be the Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, the whole slide tactic and stuff like that.
I mean, I don't know whether Titanfall is taking a leaf out of Mirror's Edge's book, but there's certain features of games coming and that have been out that certainly look like.
They even nicked, like Call of Duty have nicked that now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just testament.
Where it kind of started, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's just testament to how DICE have done, and I really, really can't wait for the sequel.
Number 41, The Witcher 2.
One of my favourite RPGs of the last generation, originally a PC game, came out as an enhanced edition on 360. It's a bit of a shame really, because not a lot of people know about this game, and it is a massive shame because it's such a story-driven experience, really, really mature, fantastic gameplay elements. It kind of incorporates everything that you love in an RPG, be it kind of magical powers, sword play. I mean, it doesn't really have an open world feel, but each level is quite open, so you can, do your own route around it. The cities that you go around are pretty much open though. There's lots of side quests to do. But as I say, the main quest is a really good one. And there are some great moments involving dragons and great city sieges that really keep it interesting. Needed that.